Hey y'all, it's Jen and welcome to my channel Ifers Inklings. Today's video is a book haul. In 2020 I didn't buy very many books, so I've gathered up all the ones I could remember that I bought in 2020, and then I also have the books that I just recently hauled this week in a book haul. I ordered 28 books, one of which isn't here yet, and about 7 of them were actually for Jillian. So I've got the books here that I have received and that I can remember that I purchased, and we're gonna dive in to this book haul. There are 39 books that I'm going to try to remember what they're about. But before we get into this video, be sure and hit that subscribe button down below if you're not already subscribed. And also, if you think you're subscribed, make sure that YouTube has not unsubscribed you yet. You know how they are. So now let's get into this intro. Okay guys, so like I said, this is a book haul video and we've got a lot of books to get through, and hopefully we will get through them pretty quickly. I have my cart here. A lot of people have TBR carts like this. I just pulled this one out from my room with had some other stuff on it and loaded up my books. The first book that I'm going to talk about though is the one that I haven't received yet. It should get here in the next couple of days. But it is Not Working by Lisa Owens, and I originally saw this book talked about on Book Break by Emma, so I will link that Book Break video down below if I can find it, if I can remember which one it is. But basically the premises of this is that Claire has just lost her job and she is hoping to take some time to discover her passions in life, but she has no idea what those passions are and also how to pursue that. So it's supposed to be hilarious and full of basically just hilarity ensues on this. So I'm looking forward to that because I need some lightheartedness in my book reading experience journeys lately. Okay, I'm not real sure how to go about this, so I'm just gonna start pulling books off the lower part of the card, I guess. So the first one we have is Devil's Knot. This book is about the West Memphis 3. It's a true crime novel. It is by Mara Leverett, and a friend of mine actually knows her pretty well, and she got this book autographed for me. Oh, there you go. And so I'm excited about it. This book is a there is a movie based off of this now, and like I said, it is based on true crime. It is the West Memphis 3, Damien Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Miss Kelly. I always forget Jason and Jesse's names. But this, I'm from Arkansas. This was hugely talked about in the news in the 90s because it happened in, I think, 1993. And it's just a really tragic story all around, from the actual murders themselves and then to the way the West Memphis 3 were treated and accused of a crime that they did not commit. So I am interested in reading this. I am very familiar with the story, like I said, because it was very I mean, it was an Arkansas major crime story that we were in my teenage years. I was in 1993. I would have been in 10th grade. So, and I've been kind of following this story along since then. Next, we have Driving with Dead People by Monica Holloway. This is a memoir. It was one of my book club books. I want to say October or November, and I've not read it yet. But it is based on a true story about growing up next to a local funeral home and being very enthralled with that aspect, and also the main character here, the Monica Holloway, she's she is the main character. She has also suffered abuse, and it kind of talks about her journey there as well. Next we have Class Mom by Lori Gilman, and I actually have no idea what this is about. I picked it up solely because the author is from Kansas City, and I just moved to Kansas City, and so she's a local author, and I believe the book takes place here in Kansas City. Yeah. So I'm just kind of interested. It's a contemporary book that looks like it has something to do with her kids in school. So there we go. I'll let you know how I like this one. Next we have The Chaos of Standing Still by Jessie Brody. This book, let's see. So the basic synopsis says that it is, this book is as moving as it is funny. The Chaos of Standing Still is a heartwarming story about the earth-shattering challenges life throws at us and the unexpected strangers who help us along the way. I believe it's got a lot to do with death and grief, and kind of a chance meeting with the main character Rin and a guy named Xander. So again, I just thought the premise kind of sounded good. It is a contemporary, I believe, contemporary romance, and the cover is, I really like the cover. I like that color. I don't know, it just kind of caught my eye, and so I picked it up. I am very much a cover buy person, so hopefully it doesn't let me down. And in that same vein, I picked this one up because I thought the cover looked cute. This color just really drew me in. It is A Totally Awkward Love Story by Tom Ellen and Lucy Ivison. It's written dual perspective by two different authors, and it's about two people falling in love. It says on the back that some lovers are meant to be, others are awkward. So we'll see how that is. Contemporary romance. I believe it's adult romance. Maybe it's set maybe in college, so maybe it's new adult. I don't know. But it just looked interesting. The cover grabbed my attention. And then we have The Anti-Virginity Pact by Katie Weismer. Katie is a fellow booktuber. She's been in the community for a long time, a lot longer than me, but she has written a book, and I picked this one up because we have on the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge a prompt to read a book by a YouTube blogger, vlogger, social media personality. So I picked this one up. She has, this is YA, and it is about a high school senior who is a preacher's daughter, but she happens to be atheist, and also she is just really kind of tired of the premise that you have to make these pacts to not to lose your virginity, and so it's kind of like the going against the grain of what you're taught and your religion, your religious upbringing. I don't know much more about it. Literally picked it up because Katie wrote it, and I needed a book by a blogger or a YouTube personality, or you know, that vein, and I really enjoy watching her channel, so I thought I would try this book. This one is The Best American Short Stories of 2020 as edited by Curtis Sittenfeld, and this is a short story collection. I've been getting them the last 3-4 years. I've not finished a collection yet, but one of the things I like to do on my channel is read and review, do a kind of a deep dive into a short story out of these books. So that's why I picked this one up for this year, and I have yet to do one, and we're 2 months into the year, so I got some catching up to do. And then I picked up Stay Gold by Toby McSmith. This is kind of a retelling. It's a young adult retelling along the lines of I want to say West Side Story. That's not it. So I don't know much about this book. I know the author is openly transgender, and this book is about kind of finding yourself and finding love. So I don't know how that plays in. I think one of the characters may be transgender. I'm not sure. I don't really remember, but it's gotten a lot of talk. It's really been prevalent in the book community, and it sounded interesting at the time, and so I grabbed it when I was at the store over last summer. Then we have Queenie by Candace Carty Williams. I don't know a lot about this book, and again, I picked it up several months ago, probably about this time last year, and I just know that the main character here is kind of, if it could go wrong in her life, it is, and she's kind of that quirky Bridget Jones-esque type character, and I thought it sounded like a fun read, and so I grabbed it. And look at this cover. I mean, I just think this orange is beautiful, and I have very few orange books on my shelf, so this one was perfect. Next we have a graphic novel, Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. This is a graphic novel set in the fall, around the time of like the fall harvest and fall carnivals, and it's just about two people who are kind of trying to find themselves at the end of the season before they move on to their next season of life. They're at the end of high school, going off to college, and this is the last night that they'll be working this fair before they move on to something else. And it kind of follows that journey of missed opportunities and just doing things that you would not have done previously, because this is the last chance you'll ever get. And then I have Hot Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I have absolutely no idea what this is about. It is a graphic novel. Alice Oseman gets amazing reviews. I've heard a lot about this book, and I just picked it up because I thought I needed to read it. It was about time. The back of it says, boy meets boy, boys become friends, boys fall in love. And so, I mean, what else do I need to know? Plus, look at this cover. It's just fun and colorful, and again, I'm drawn to covers. Then we have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This book follows a woman named Nora who is very much at the point in her life where she just feels like she is worthless and useless, and everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, and the world would be better off without her. And so she attempts suicide and is dropped into the Midnight Library, where every book in there is an alternate reality of the life she could have lived if she had done things, just one little thing differently. There is one major book that is the Book of Regrets, and as she goes through that book and relives those lives, those regrets go away. And then there's the final book that is her root life. And it's just kind of her journey, seeing how things would have been different if she had done things differently, and how life that she thinks is awful still has served a purpose, and she has impacted many lives along the way. Then we have Across the Green Grass Fields by Shauna McGuire. I'm not going to talk a lot about this book. This is the 6th book in a series of books. This one is, this whole series is Portal Fantasy books, and it's a short novella, so we just get a little glimpse into these lives, and we are following, in this book, a girl who isn't really sure about herself. She's following the bully of the school, and so all of her decisions are made based on that, and she's just extremely unhappy, and she doesn't feel like who she is in her body is who she really should be. And I believe the world that we get, the portal world, has a lot to do with horses and unicorns and animals like that, because she is a huge horse and unicorn lover as well. I can't talk enough about this Portal World series, so definitely pick this up. Like I said, they're all quick reads. Most of them are under 200 pages, and they just are fun and sad and adventurous, and kind of that what every kid that goes through, you know, if I could just disappear into this world, that would fit my life better than the current world. So reluctantly, I have bought The House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. If you haven't heard about this book, I don't know who you are, where you've been. Because this is talked about a lot in the book community and has been for years. It is, I believe, a horror type book. It's told very strangely. The chapters are weird. They have like little footnotes that you have to read. There are pages that are, you know, turned this way. There are little, you kind of jump around. There's this type of format, but you kind of jump around in this. You don't read this book cover to cover. You jump around in all places, and I am extremely intimidated by this book. So, I mean, I thought it was time to go ahead and pick it up and maybe get it read this year. Lots of people are talking about it. I think it's going to be Book and Lala's the Literally Dead book club pick for March or April, I think. I don't know. But I know there's been several read-alongs of it, and I just decided to go ahead and pick it up because I needed to. This book I picked up, it is called The Perfect Word. No, let me try that again. It's called Word Perfect. It is the etymological entertainment for every day of the year by Susie Dent. And basically this is a word of the year. You have January. January 1st word there was crambazzled. And then it kind of talks about that word. I picked it up. Oh, my page is torn. Well, that sucks. Look. That sucks. Do you see that? Anyway. I picked it up because I heard about it on somebody else's channel. I don't even remember where I heard about it, but I was fascinated by it, and I think I'm going to read it a day in 2022, read a page or a word a day then. But look at this cover though. How beautiful. This is the back. The sides are that, and then of course the front. It's just gorgeous. Okay, then we have Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And this is a romantic suspense thriller. I picked it up because it is going to be the book club book for the Taylor Swift 'Tis the Damn readathon that I am creator and co-host of. That is going to be in March, so I thought I probably ought to have the book. And I love this cover. The browns and this blue cover go together. I don't know a lot about this book, but it is one of Taylor Swift's favorite books, and the song, hang on, we're gonna talk about it. Tolerate It. Taylor Swift's song Tolerate It is based off of this book. So I'm excited to get to read it finally. I know it's considered a classic, and I've never picked it up, so this is a good opportunity for me to read it. The Bucket List by Georgia Clark. This is a book that is kind of in the same vein of the Midnight Library, which is what I was looking for when I went on this book buying journey. It was books that have that what if, you know, if I did this one thing differently, what would my life be like? And that's kind of what this is. It's a, when she was a kid, she created a bucket list. So this one is she's created a bucket list, and so she has to kind of pursue it. In this book, she's pursuing that bucket list. So I'm excited to dive into this one. It's obviously going to be a adult contemporary. There may be a romance in here, I don't know, but I just thought this sounded like a fun journey, because we've all got bucket lists and what ifs and things that we want to do if we get time, or if the universe lines up the right way. And so I thought this would be a fun read. And this book is Wicked Nyx by Lena Coakley. It is about a fairy who lives next to this old man in the woods, and he's trying to make like he is a fairy, you know, a wicked fairy creature that is doing all this bad, but really he just wants to be left alone in his woods. I was looking for books kind of along the line of The House in the Cerulean Sea, kind of that whimsical world, and that this is what was recommended. And so I think it sounds kind of fun. It's got some maps and some other illustrations throughout it. Here's one. And it's little. I think it's probably a middle grade book. I don't know, but I'm excited to read this one. It looks fun, and it is blurbed on the front from Kelly Barnhill, who was the author of The Girl Who Drank the Moon, and I really loved that story too, so I'm excited to dive into this book. So the next book is called The Apartment by Teddy Wayne, and again, this one's a little bit short, but it just sounded a little quirky, and I kept coming back to it thinking, I just really need to read this book and see how this works out. Basically, it's an apartment where two men share in New York, but they come from different upbringings and political views, and so there's some contention. There's the toxic masculinity, there's different class between them, and it's kind of their story of living together and navigating life. And I think the narrator of it is the apartment, so I just think that sounds cool and quirky and fun, so I'm gonna read it. Alright, so the next book I picked up was Sirius Moonlight by Jen Bennett. I don't know what this one is about, but I'm a huge fan of Jen Bennett. It's a YA contemporary romance, I'm sure, but I don't need to know what it's about because it's Jen Bennett, and I just love her storytelling and her writing. Usually there's a little bit of some kind of hard-hitting aspect to her stories, and so I'm excited to read this one. The next one I picked up was America for Beginners by Leah Francois. This book is, how do I even explain it? So this book has a widowed woman from India whose son is living in California. He is estranged from his family because he is gay, and of course that was devastating to his parents. But so they did receive a phone call saying that their son had died suddenly, but the mom doesn't believe it. So after she becomes widowed, she comes to New York and meets up with a tour company, and they decide to take a road trip across America to California. So, and then on this road trip there is a 20-something-year-old aspiring actress, and she is going to accompany them also. And it's their trek across the United States, learning about the U.S. from a foreigner's perspective, and also kind of their journey with each other, and learning about each other and their lives, and learning more about themselves along the way too. I thought it sounded fabulous. So this book is The Music Shop by Rachel Joyce, and basically the premise of this novel is that there is a small music shop in this small town, and the owner is able to figure out exactly what piece of music every customer needs that relates to their life at the time. And that's all I'm going into this book knowing, because that sounds fabulous. So this book is The Dinner List by Rebecca Surley, and the premise of this book is it's that age-old question of, if you could have dinner with 5 people, no matter who they are, living or dead, who would you pick? And so that is what this book is about. On the main character's birthday, her best friend gathers this dinner, and it's those people that she would want to have dinner with, living or dead. Some of them are dead, some of them are alive, some of them are estranged, whatever. And it's the story that follows that dinner and those guests. So I thought it sounded like a very interesting concept, and I wanted to read about it. So the next book is The Windfall by Diksha Basu, and this is a story about a poor family in, I believe, India, who get a windfall of money, and so they move from their neighborhood where they have lived, you know, for, I don't know, 30 years, into a higher up class neighborhood where they have, because they've got this windfall of riches. And then kind of the story that follows, and how, you know, just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean that your life is going to actually be better. So that concept always is interesting to me, and because we always dream of what would we do if we won the lottery, or we inherited a ton of money, or, you know, how life would change if we could just, money could just solve all of our problems. So this will be an interesting read for sure. This book is The Happily Ever Playlist by Abby Jimenez, and it's an adult romance. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it. So I'm going to go into it not knowing anything about it. I know it's an adult contemporary romance. I know there's going to be a chance meeting. I think it involves a dog, and I don't need to know much more than that, because, you know, the story just needs to unfold, and I'm excited about it. This one is My Very 90s Romance by Jenny Colgan, and again, I don't know anything about it. I know it is a little bit of a romance. I don't know if it's adult or if it's YA. I don't care. It says My Very 90s Romance, and it looks like very 90s, and I'm a little nostalgic, and so I'm going to read it. So this book is The Bar Harbor's Retirement Home for Famous Writers and Their Muses by Terry Lynn DeFino, and it's an interesting concept. Basically, it's a retirement home for writers and their muses. And so they get to this retirement home, and it kind of is their life and their stories that they're telling in this retirement home. And it's the tale that kind of unfolds. Some of it's true, some of it's fiction, you know, just the lives of these writers. And I think it sounds like a fabulous concept. I may be wrong. It may turn out horrible, but I'm going to give it a try, and I'm going to go into it thinking I'm going to love it. So this book is Wintering by Peter Guy. I don't know how to really explain this. This is kind of like a mystery. This man who is elderly and has dementia, he disappears into the wilderness in Minnesota, and it has to do with his son, who he disappeared with 30 years earlier in kind of a similar fashion, and their story living off of in this adventure in the woods. And it says it's a thrilling adventure story wrapped in the deep, dark history of a rural town. And I don't usually read a lot of things like this, but I thought this one sounded really interesting, and I just couldn't bear to pass it up. So this book is 500 Miles From You by Jenny Colgan, and it is an adult romance, contemporary romance, long distance. They live in two separate towns, one in Scotland and one in London. They have kind of a long distance chance meeting. I don't know if it's internet or what, but they kind of carry on this friendship and almost a little bit of a romance, and this is kind of their story, and then kind of what happens when they finally meet. This one is The Summer at Firefly Beach by Jenny Hale. I don't know what it's about. Let's see. Oh, it's a bucket list one again. So at Firefly Beach was the main character's aunt's house, and the main character loved it. So when her aunt passes away, the last letter she sends to the main character included a bucket list that Haley wrote when she was 12 years old. And so Haley has decided to complete this bucket list. And so it's her adventure doing that. Sounds great. I love bucket list stories, so I thought it sounded fun. Our next book is All Our Wrong Todays by Ellen Masty. What this book is the premise that technology has solved all of our problems, and there's no war, there's no poverty, there's no, there says there's no underripe avocados. So, but the main character, Tom, is still not happy. He's lost the girl of his dreams. And what do you do when you're heartbroken and you have a time machine? Of course, you go back in time. But when he goes back in time, he realizes that he is now not in the world where technology has solved everything. He's in an alternate universe where things are still broken and things aren't all solved. And he, you know, so he's living in that world. You know, does he stay in the world where there's all these problems, but he gets the girl and they're happily ever after? Or does he go back to the world where he's heartbroken and still, but everything is perfect? So I thought that was going to be an interesting journey. This book is The Trouble with Hating You by Sonia Patel. And this is it's a hate to love adult romance, which I love, enemies to lovers. And I just love that trope. But so what happens here is our two main characters meet at a family dinner that they are being set up kind of as an arranged date. The female main character gets pissed off, leaves, and shows up to work the next day only to find out that the man that the family invited to the dinner was actually her new business partner. And so of course, hilarity ensues on that, I'm sure, and I'm really interested in seeing how this turns out because I love that trope, and this one sounds fun. So this book is called The Accidental Book Club by Jennifer Scott, and basically what it is a woman decides to meet up with 6 of her friends, and they meet the second Tuesday of every month for a potluck supper for wine, laughter, and books, and it becomes this book club. And so we follow the lives of each of these 6 women, and I picked this up because I am also involved in a book club that meets. There's 5 of us now because our 6th member has passed away last year, but we meet. We used to meet in person and enjoy food and beverages while we talked about our books, but that is not possible in this time. But it just seemed a little nostalgic to me and kind of reminiscent of an aspect of my life that I love dearly. And so I picked it up because I thought it sounded fun. So this book, Two Steps Forward by Graeme Simpson and Anne Buste, is about a road where 2 people meet up on a journey. They are complete strangers at first. So what this little blurb says, it says Zoe is an artist from California who's still reeling from her husband's sudden death, has impulsively decided to walk the Camino, hoping to find solace and direction. Martin, an engineer from England, is road testing a car of his own design and recovering from a messy divorce. They begin in the same French town, each uncertain of what the future holds. And so this is kind of their journey through physical and emotional and challenges that this type of pilgrimage takes you on. So I thought I thought this sounded interesting. I really loved the book Wild by Strand. I can't remember her first name, but I really found that fascinating, and so I was kind of looking for something along that lines, but not quite memoirish or nonfiction related. So this fiction version of this journey is kind of right what I was looking for. All right, we're getting close to the end here, guys. So we've got Another Night, Another Day by Sarah Rainier. The back, it says 3 people each crying out for help. There's Karen, worried about her dying father, Abby, whose son has autism and needs constant care, and Michael, a family man on the verge of bankruptcy. As each sinks under the strain, they're brought together at Moreland's clinic. Here, behind closed doors, they reveal their deepest secrets, confront and console one another, and share plenty of laughs. But how will they cope when a new crisis strikes? So, if you've ever struggled with this type of situation or any of these types of situations, it's comforting to read a book with other people in a fiction, even though it's fictionalized, that have shared your struggles. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how this one turns out. So this book, Pretty Little Mistakes by Heather McElhatton. It says it's a do-over novel, and I think this is it's a choose your own adventure book, but it's kind of like that alternate lives. So you can read it and you kind of like the Midnight Library, you can make a different choice and go to a different life. So I thought it sounded interesting. I've read a couple of choose your own adventure books, and they're fun and different and unique. And so The Enlightenment of Beast by Rachel Linden is a adventure novel, I guess. The main character here finds that her life is not what she wanted it to be at 26, and then her roommate has decided to go on a humanitarian trip. So she's like, I'm going. I'm just going to go with you. This trip is funded by a reclusive billionaire, and so along the way they meet a lot of different people and realize that the world is complicated, and that maybe she wants to take her life in a different direction. So it says, a little blurb says, in a romantic adventure across the globe, The Enlightenment of Bees beautifully explores what it means to find the sweet spot in life where our greatest passions meet the world's greatest need. And so I thought that sounded like an enjoyable journey that I wanted to take with them. And our final book of this book haul is Summer Hours at the Robbers Library by Sue Halpern. So this book is about the people that visit the library. You know, sometimes it says that sometimes the best stories at the library aren't found on its shelves. They're walking through its doors and congregating at the reference desk. And so this tells the story of the people that come into this library and their community, how they come together and figure out how to knit their lives back together again. So I thought it sounded fun and interesting, and a story that just will be beautifully laid out. So I'm hoping that's what I get from it. So that's it. Those are all the 39 books that I have hauled, that I can remember that I've hauled in the last year and a half. Let me know if you have read any of these books, what you thought of them, which ones I need to make sure are priorities on my TBR, if you recognize any of these books on this book haul, and let me know if you're going to pick any of these books up. I know a lot of them are kind of obscure books that aren't talked about a lot, so maybe we know about them, maybe we don't. So let me know in the comments below what you think of these books and if any of them have grabbed your attention. Now, with that said, if you did enjoy this video, please give me a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps out my channel a lot, and it lets me know that you enjoy this kind of content from me. And if you didn't like it, feel free to give me a thumbs down. That is perfectly fine. Again, it helps me know if you enjoy this kind of content or not. So with that said, what you are going to see listed on the screen now is going to be some past book hauls of mine, and also just a video that YouTube thinks that you would enjoy of one of my past videos. And with that said, until next time, I will talk to you later, and thank you so much for watching my video. Bye now.